Gotta light some more incense because the other one went out from the previous video. This is the moment niggas prophesied about. Chris Price's 50 favorite albums of 2023. These are the records that inspired me the most, that pushed my psyche forward the most. If you watched the previous video, you already know what this is about, so we ain't even gonna waste no more time. Breeze through the bottom half, get in more depth on the top half. Let's get right into it, man. At number 50, it is Algiers with Shook. And then at number 49, it is Tizo Touchdown with How Do You Sleep at Night. At number 48 is Tanti Faxaf, I don't know how to pronounce the band's name yet, with Hive Mind Narcosis. Then at number 47, it is Ice Cold Bishop with Generational Curse, easily one of my favorite West Coast rap albums that I've heard in a minute. Number 46, it's Colin Stetson with an amazing jazz record by the name of When We Were That What Wept for the Sea. At number 45, it is Feeble Little Horse with Girl with Fish. Then at number 44, it is Spelling with Spelling in the Mystery School. Number 43, it is Mon Laferte with Ato Poetica. I think I pronounced that right. I hope I did. At number 42, it is 100 gecs with 10,000 gecs. Then at number 41, it is King Cruel's Space Heavy. At number 40, it's Blu Real Bad Man with Bad News. Then at number 39, it is Navy Blue with Ways of Knowing. At number 38 is ANOHNI and the Johnsons with My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross. Then at number 37, it is Black Pumas with one of the most slept on and overlooked soul albums that came out this year. At number 36, it is a short but concise, conceptual, and amazingly put together record from Tinashe, BB Angel or Baby Angel. At number 35, it is Paramore with This Is Why. Then at number 34, it is just progressive pop nostalgia from the Lemon Twigs with Everything Harmony. At number 33, it is Guts from Olivia Rodrigo. At number 32, it's Witch with Zango, a great African rock record that I think, again, got a little overlooked this year. At number 31 is an album from an artist that I didn't expect to love this much, but with this album, my perspective shifted a little bit. Now I have to keep on my eye on Miss Mitski with The Land Is Inhospitable. So are we. Damn right we are. At number 30, it is Anna Frango Electrica with Mi Chama de Gato que eu soy sua. I think I pronounced that right. Great synth pop vibes on that one. Then at number 29, it is Snooper with Super Snooper. One of the stupidest, most fun, and just what the hell is happening punk albums I heard in a minute. Number 28 is Mike with Burning Desire. At number 27, it is Paranoid with After the Magic. And then I round out the bottom half of the list with number 26, Joanna Sternberg with I've Got Me. And here we are, the top half. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's do it. At number 25, it is Jessie Ware with That Feels Good. Do it again. Jessie Ware on a great run with this vintage 80s pop sound, to the point where I feel as though she has essentially and officially embraced this as her core sound, at least at this very current moment, because she fits right into it. It seems as though she's super comfortable. She's able to be herself, show her personality even more on this record, given how much of an increase in energy this is relative to What's Your Pleasure, in terms of obviously energy and just how bouncy these tracks are. Number 24, I've got one of my favorite post-punk albums that came out this year, Squid with Oh Monolith. This band just continues to push the needle forward, much like a lot of bands within this post-punk lane we've been hearing this decade, a la the Black Country New Roads of the world, the Sprains of the world, and others. Squid kind of adding to that artistic streak within the genre and doing so with flying colors. At number 23 is an album that caught me by surprise. I didn't even know it came out until I caught wind of it online, and I listened to it, and this rapper just continues to impress me, man, and that is going to be Wiki and Tony Seltzer with 14K Figaro. At 22, it is a Pink Pantheress masterclass with Heaven Knows. Some of the most catchy and just intoxicating pop songs are all on this record. Pink Pantheress shocked the hell out of me, shocked the hell out of everybody. Not necessarily because we expect less from Pink Pantheress, but more so because we don't expect as much as we got in this genre from this said artist, given even a lot of the stature that she got off the song Boy's a Liar. Going into this album, I at least did not expect this sound from her to be just so forward thinking and so visionary, while still keeping it mainstream enough to be appealing and accessible to the average ear. Number 21 is an outlandish post-punk pop opus with model actress's dog body. I don't know what more I could say about this album other than what the fuck? What is happening? What is going on, and why do I love it? That's the consensus I get from this record, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm excited to see what these guys do moving forward. At number 20 is Group Therapy with I Was Mature for My Age, but I Was Still a Child. Great creative, just conceptual, even instrumentally, production from Group Therapy, and just their chemistry here. Being able to push forward the narratives that they are track to track is really mesmerizing to hear. And again, given they're taken from such a tried and true style of rap, a la the Brockhamptons of the world and others, they give this sound their own flair in a way that is very unheard from a lot of groups and even just individual rappers in this lane in the modern era. And because of that, I think they really kind of like stomped on necks in this lane of music, and I don't see a reason not to look forward to their next effort, because this right here, this is that shit. What was also that shit was the record at number 19, which was Caroline Polachek's Desire I Want to Turn Into You. Polachek's just on a creative streak. That's really not much else I can say other than that. This album just as amazing as Pang, if not even more ambitious, even more inspiring, because now she's taking from sounds of not just art pop, but even different styles from vintage progressive pop and fusing them all together into what is essentially her current opus. Like, this is the standard for her now, and we said that about Pang, and here we are saying it once again. And I just think Caroline Polachek again is on a creative streak that is only going to get more powerful and more creative the more she just keeps her vision steady and keeps on with what she's got going in terms of her desires, as she puts it in the album title. Number 18 is a bit of an odd listen that I had this year, but I still loved it for its artistic vision and what it was essentially getting across with its narratives. And that's Reverend Kristen Michael Hayter, aka Lingua Ignota, with Saved. Yeah, it's rare to hear a folk record come across this dingy and this, I guess you say religious. But that's really what Kristen Michael Hayter's music has been all about in terms of its theme and its narrative, and connecting that with themes of infidelity and past traumas with different relationship aspects. She kills it once again, and I'm just, again, having no reason to not look forward to what she does with this sound, given she's essentially let go of that Lingua Ignota name and is now moving forward to new ideas, new refreshing and clear visions moving forward. At number 17, it is Genesis Owusu with Struggler, once again coming through with a great concept, this time with him connecting with God in a way that on the outside looking in may come off as blasphemous, but in a way it's actually not only trying to connect more with a Most High and with a higher power, but even trying to get in tune with that higher power within self. And I think that is the actual struggle that he's dealing with, that even for him may go untalked about. Instrumentally and lyrically, he gets across this point in a way that is just really unmatched in terms of creativity in his lane right now. And I'm just so excited for this dude. I was excited when I first heard his previous record, Smiling with No Teeth, and with Struggler, I mean, my God, bro, again, just on a creative streak. At number 16 is another outlandish record, this time from Underscores with Wall Socket. Yeah, this thing just challenges the pop norm in ways that I can't even put my finger on. I still am having difficulty wrapping my head around on a grander scheme of things. It's an experience that I didn't expect to be this ambitious, and I just gotta give Underscores their flowers. They really pulled off genre fusions within the lanes of pop that are gonna go unmatched for quite some time. At number 15 is a cultural statement from Chief Adjuah with Bark Out Thunder, Roar Out Lightning. This is a dense, layered, alternative jazz record fusing in African music and indigenous music as well. Adjuah really gave himself new life with his career with this record, even using his own instrument, and just the arrangements, the lyrics, the vocals, everything about this record in terms of its arrangement is just so methodically put together, so meticulous. It's hard not to, at very least, appreciate it for what it's doing in terms of connecting with the Black spirit via its music and connecting with the Black spirit via its lyrics and its narratives. The themes of self-love and combating self-hate, but doing so in not just a way that's trying to glamorize the idea of self-love, but more so getting down to the heart and the root of the historic elements of that theme as well, actually connecting back to your roots, finding your tribe, finding that blood within that connects you back to your motherland. And number 14, one of my favorite singer-songwriter albums of the year, I gotta give it to Kara Jackson with Why Does the Earth Give Us People to Love? Beautiful arrangements, beautiful lyrics, beautiful vocals. The growth of some of these tracks is just awe-inspiring, to say the absolute least. And Kara Jackson, to me, just comes off as the self-talker's self-talker, the self-writer's self-writer, with these stories and these narratives that she's able to just pin down over the instrumentation that she chooses as the backdrop for them. It's, again, awe-inspiring, to say the least. At number 13, I'm gonna go with Liturgy with 93696, a yet another transcendental metal experience from Liturgy on this one. Just once again proving that they are one of the most ambitious acts in metal music. And as a guy that wasn't too versed in black metal before, I guess you could say 2 years ago, this was one of those projects that kind of got me versed into the genre, but not in the sense that it was accessible enough for me to do so, but rather it gave me what was essentially already a new take on the genre in and of itself. And 93696 does nothing but essentially push forward that reality, and I appreciate it for that. At number 12, give me Amaarae with Fountain Baby, some of the most intoxicating Afro pop I think I've ever fucking heard. Production is lush, beautiful, ornate. Amarae's vocals are fantastic. The hooks, the melodies, I mean, talk about catchy. This is one of the most catchy albums you'll probably hear this decade. At number 11, I'm going to give it to Irreversible Entanglements with Protect Your Light. Easily my jazz album of the year. Again, we talk about connecting with the black spirit. I think Irreversible Entanglements, More Mother, and her band, to be specific, do just that, and do so with incredible instrumentation, insane arrangements, insane solos, and just mind-bending and at the edge of your seat spoken word from More Mother. And here we are, top 10 time. Let's get it, let's go, let's do it. Kicking things off at number 10, Billy Woods and Kenny Segal with Maps. I saw so much praise for this album, like left and right, and I love Billy Woods. Y'all gonna see how much I love Billy Woods later in the list. A little bit of a spoiler. And I loved this record, but what I didn't expect was people to essentially call this Billy Woods' masterpiece. So I went back and listened to it a little more, and you know what? I'll say this. This, to me, felt like Billy Woods' Mad Villainy. Hear me out. If we're talking about just an experience, obviously we're not comparing the two records. That's not what I like doing in terms of art. But just to put them side by side in terms of just the perspective on what it means to create a collab. The experience is what we oftentimes get attached to. And the experience of Maps, the way Benny Woods and Kenny Segal linked up on this record relative to their previous album a few years ago, this is an experience. This is something that Billy Woods just so methodically put together without maybe even knowing he did as much as he did. The jazz samples, the soul samples, how dark it can get, but also how hopeful it can get at certain times. It just, again, makes for a cohesive track-to-track experience that I think Billy Woods and Kenny Segal just absolutely nailed this time around. At number 9, I'm gonna give it to Jeff Rosenstock with HELLMODE. This was a punk experience that prior to this record, when it came to Jeff Rosenstock's music, I had only admired and appreciated his music more so than I really loved it. But this album I fucking love. I mean, the instrumentals, the vocals, the hooks, but also the themes of self and the themes of trying to get to that higher self, not letting yourself get deteriorized and lowered in terms of your esteem and how you view your perspectives as lower than they actually are. And I think just those themes and how he gets them by was not only powerful, but it was effective, given how he was able to get that across with the fusions of different punk styles from track to track. It's such a dynamic way of putting together an album, and because of that, it was one of the most inspiring. Also one of the most inspiring, but for a little different reasons, was the album at number 8, which is Sprain with The Lamb as Effigy. It's a longer title. I'ma just put it on the screen. There it is. Bah. Like I said in my previous video, Sprain to me comes off as if they could have been in that lane of the Swans and the Black Country New Roads in terms of ambition within rock music. That is how forward-thinking and, again, outlandish the production, the instrumentation, the vocals, the narratives on this record are. They are searing to the psyche. Almost to the point where it becomes damn near difficult to pin your finger on how a song is particularly supposed to be gone about in terms of determining its theme. Whether or not that was Sprain's intention on this album, I don't know. But hell, they did a hell of a job challenging the listener. Number 7, I gotta give it to one of my favorite rap albums of the year, and that's gonna be McKinley Dixon with Beloved, Paradise, Jazz? I said this again in the singles video, and I'm gonna say it here for this record. This to me felt like a musical theater show, but instead of just the average musical theater story that you're listening to, it is literally all about the hood, gang violence, and being able to only analyze and create your own ideologies on how in which we as Black people should be going about these situations. This is what I mean when I tell rappers, if you're going to rap about violence, make it to where you're talking about moving in the right direction for the hood. And McKinley Dixon takes that and orchestralizes it and gives it lyricism that to me is unmatched among even mainstream contemporaries. If that isn't impressive and if that doesn't make you excited for what McKinley Dixon has moving forward, even considering how amazing his previous record was, I don't know what to tell you. At number 6, give me Sampha with Lahai, a beautiful record from him, worth the wait. I mean, damn, you talk about what was it, like a 6-7 year wait since his previous record came out, and he did not disappoint, not only with the parallels of Jonathan Livingston Segal, but just the spiritual themes. And again, I'm gonna keep using this term, connecting with the Black spirit are powerful and bar none on this record, and you can't help but give him his flowers and hope for even greater for both him, his family, and even if it isn't for his career, just him as a Black man moving forward. Top 5 time, let's get it. At number 5, it is Sufjan Stevens with Javelin. Did not know this album was about his late partner, and when you connect that to the themes of this record and what he's talking about, combined with the beautiful instrumentation, it is one of the most emotionally cutting albums I've heard in a long time. And I'm just happy that Sufjan Stevens essentially used that turmoil, used that weight on his shoulders to create a beautiful piece of art. This is what I mean when I say use your pain as fuel. And Javelin, Sufjan Stevens didn't just use it as fuel, he used it as a goddamn propane tank. At number 4 is an artist I never would have thought I loved this much, but this record is that one exception, and I gotta give her flowers for it. Lana Del Rey with Did You Know That There Is a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard. Again, didn't think I'd love this as much as I did, but Lana came through with one of the most cohesive, ambitious, and potent singer-songwriter albums that I've heard in a long time. I mean, you talk about density from track to track, the interludes, the instrumentation, the storytelling, how long some of these tracks can get as well. This is truly an experience that I gotta give credit to her for. I'm not gonna sit here and troll. This is genuinely a masterpiece, and I'm excited to see what she can do with this sound in the future of her career, depending on how long her career goes past this point, because I mean, hell, Lana Del Rey is decades into the game. She ain't new to this at all. It just takes certain fans and listeners like myself to get acclimated to how exactly she's approaching the sound and approaching this way of creating music. Because it only becomes so subjective to the point where you literally have to look at the artist and ask yourself, are you really for me? Right? We use that term, is this music for me? And this is why I always tell people, wait or give it a chance, because you never know when that artist that you say isn't for you comes out with something that shifts your perspective. And this album shifted my perspective, and I'm glad that I kept my perspective on how I view music, because it proves to me that sometimes you got to give artists their time to develop, and even if it takes decades on generations, if it ultimately happens, it was worth the wait. And this album, for me, was that great. It was that worth the wait. At number 3 is Lonely Holly with Oh Me Oh My. I know I use the term speak to the black soul again and again and again. Believe it or not, this was the album that made me start saying that. This album not just speaks to the black soul, it is the black soul. Lonely Holly, at the age that he is, feels like that elder at the top of the hill that everybody wants to go to, but even oftentimes feels a certain anxiety when going up to him, because you know you are going to get the truth and nothing but the truth. And it's not a truth that's just sunk down your throat and like thrown at you in the way that like a motivational video on YouTube is, but more so in the way that like Oogway from Kung Fu Panda would speak to you. The wisdom from his mind and the way that he just lays that out on a track, and the backdrop of avant soul instrumentation, whether it's through a spacey ambient new age piece or a straight up avant rock instrumental. He is going to get across a narrative. He's going to get across a story. He's going to get across a message that every black person needs to hear at this current time when it comes to realizing self, knowing what it is that we need to do in terms of our psyche and our spirit to reach that higher self. Lonely Holly he nailed every single point, and I don't see how you can't credit an artist for that when they're doing it not just at the level that he's doing it, but even at the age that he is too. Number 2 is an album that if you follow my stuff on Instagram or social media, or even if you know me on a personal level, you probably saw this coming. And if you follow really kind of like the nerd scenes of music, you saw this coming as well. And yeah, here it is. It is JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown with Scaring the Hoes. The idea of scaring the hoes, given it's a meme in social media right now, has not necessarily foreign to me, as I've always had an odd, abstract, off-kilter music taste. And the idea of Scaring the Hoes, to me, just being created as an album is almost something that my inner child has been wanting but never really wanted to admit. And them essentially using that as a commentary on how music should be viewed in terms of how odd it can get or how outlandish it can be to the ear, to the mind, or to the spirit. That alone is an ambitious ideology going into an album, and the execution of said idea is unlike anything we've heard in hip-hop in the past few generations. The production, outlandish. The lyrics, outlandish. Everything about this record is just challenging the genre, but also I think challenging the artists themselves, challenging Peggy to create the most boundary-pushing record he can possibly make. And then for Danny, challenging him to meet himself at that weirdo peak that he was at previously in his career. But I think what they both realize is that this off-kilter, off-the-beaten-path image that they both portray, that is them. That is just who they are. And they embrace that with this record, and it makes for, again, one of the most boundary-pushing rap albums we'll probably get this decade, and probably ever get within the realm of experimental hip-hop that's come out within the span of the genre's inception. Which leads me to my number 1 spot, my album of the year for 2023, and that is going to be Arm & Hammer with We Buy Diabetic Test Strips. Everything that I just said about Scaring the Hoes applies to this record, but instead of experimental hip-hop, it's abstract hip-hop. I think the question you have to ask yourself is, which one came off as more ambitious in the grand scheme of not just hip-hop, but not just music, but the spirit and what every single record this year, and even every single record in both Billy Woods and Elucid's catalog has represented? I'd say it's We Buy Diabetic Test Strips. The themes of reaching that higher self, the instrumentation essentially taking from different elements of experimental hip-hop and incorporating them into abstract hip-hop. In a sense, you can say this is like a meeting of two worlds, the worlds of experimental and abstract just fusing together and creating an entirely new world in and of itself. This album to me redefines ambition in underground hip-hop. It is up there with the Fantastic Damages of the world, the different Cannibal Ox records that we've come to praise, which is fitting considering that there's LP production on this record, and you know, again, going back to Carrying the Hose, there's JPEG Mafia production on this album as well. I guess you could say so many of the fusions of different styles of rap coalescing on this album makes for a record that really almost kind of saw the underground Avengers coming through and really creating this all within one group that we say is Owusu and Billy Woods, but ultimately is hip-hop at large. I think hip-hop and just modern music is an advocate for this type of ambition in music, in rap. It's a statement. It is a statement, and I know it's going to get overlooked. I know not everybody's going to get it, not just instrumentally, considering that this is probably Armand Hammer's most inaccessible record to date, but also lyrically, given that Owusu and Billy Woods can be such dense rappers in terms of how they layer their lines to the point where, in order to understand what they're saying on the grand scheme of things, you still have to just peel back, and still not get it. But that's what makes them a one-of-a-kind duo. That's what makes them one-of-a-kind rappers individually. And for them to come through with a record like this that instrumentally meets them at that level of impossible to figure out, that is a feat. That is an artistic statement. And that is what makes for, in my view, in my perspective, my favorite album of 2023. If y'all watched these videos, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate y'all. Again, consistency on this channel is coming 2024. No more excuses. Even valid excuses are no longer excuses. If I want to meet the level of ambition that a We Buy Diabetic test strips does, we got to stay focused. We got to keep our head level. And we got to believe in self. I'm going to leave this video off with a line from my album of the year. Anything can happen if you try to make it happen. So let's not just try to make it happen. Let's manifest it and let's actually do it. Love y'all. And I'll see y'all in year number 8. 2024, 2 + 2 + 4 = 8. The year of God, the year that inner God. Let's go find him. Let's bring him out. And let's manifest him. Ashe.